I'm joined by the head coach at San Diego State. 16 years now in that capacity. He was a National Coach of the Year in 2011, won an NCAA championship in Michigan. San Diego State is ranked 13th nationally. They're playing host to San Diego on Thursday. Aztecs head coach Steve Fisher joins us here in the jungle. Steve, it's good to have you back. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jim. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Always good to visit with you, Steve. Thanks so much for doing it. You lost to number 3 Arizona in the final of the Maui Invitational. Let me start right there. I know you hate to lose, but how much were you able to take away from a tight game against a very good team early in the season?
What it does, Jim, is it shows you all the little things that you have to do, again, just a little better if you want to beat elite teams. And some of our turnovers, they exposed. They ran out, and they had way too many baskets off of turnovers, too many offensive rebounds. And yet we still had a chance to win the game. So saw a lot of growth in our team with our 2 young freshman point guards, Trey Kell and Kevin Zabo, and that also is very encouraging.
Right, so how do you approach that? 2 freshman point guards. That's a lot to ask of a couple of young players. How are you approaching it with them?
We say if you're on the floor, you're not a freshman, you're a player. We watched Trey Kell play. He's a local product from St. Augustine High School. Always a scorer in high school, never a point guard. So, again, a transition from high school to college is hard enough, but to become the point guard, smart, doesn't turn the ball over. Zabo is a Canadian who's been in elite prep school out east and comes in with some maturity about him as a legitimate point guard. So the 2 of them have done a really nice job of coming in and try to do what we had done for a lot of years. Last year, Xavier Thames led us, and we don't expect them to be Xavier Thames, but they've been good so far.
San Diego State head basketball coach Steve Fisher joins us once again. One of the things you said after that game was, quote, they hit us in the chops and we didn't respond when we needed to, end quote. You've had some time off since that game. How have you guys responded in practice?
We've got a wonderful group of young guys, Jim, and they know they want to win. They want to be talked about as one of the better teams in the country. And to do that, you need to find a way to win against the really good teams. And we've had Arizona where, from our end, we say, boy, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but didn't 3 of the last 4 times, where it comes down to the last possession or 2 of the game. So we've come out and practiced very, very efficiently. We've done a pretty good job of that all year, but we want to get better. And this is a player-driven team led by 3 fifth-year seniors who've done a really good job of setting the tone for how we prepare.
Steve, let me get you to take one look back at last year. You've rebuilt that program, but entering last season, there seemed to be this expectation that the team might take a step back, and certainly that did not happen. You won 31 games, and you lost to Arizona in the tournament. As you look back at last season, what stands out to you, and what was that year like?
I knew we were going to be good. In fact, I knew that we were going to be better than our fans thought we would, and that's a rare exception. We were driven by Xavier Thames. He was the best player in our league and one of the elite players in the country. He had the ball all the time down the stretch, end of the shot clock where we needed a play to be made. And now our challenge this year is, will that be done by committee? Will someone emerge as a go-to guy when the shot clock gets into the red? And right now, we're still finding out about that, which is good and bad, I guess. I think we still have a pretty high ceiling in terms of where we can go. But last year, we were driven by Xavier Thames and our transfer, Josh Davis, who was a 5th-year transfer, played 1 year for us, and was as dynamic a rebounder as there was in the country.
Steve Fisher joining us. So let's talk ceiling. I mean, you've been knocking on the door in the NCAA tournament for quite some time now. What does it take to get from a Sweet 16 team to a Final Four team?
I think it takes a little bit of luck, Jim. And that's, people say, well, that's a cop-out. You have to have a break or two. I'll give 2 quick examples. In 2011, the 34 and 35 and 3 team, we had Connecticut beaten. We played better than they did. Kawhi Leonard, who you see excelling in the NBA, got maybe the first and only technical of his career early. We had to sit him for 8 minutes in the first half because it was his second foul. That had a big impact on the game. they beat us, win the national championship, and I'll still say that if you watch that game, we were the better team. Then last year, we played better than Arizona for 35 minutes. Nick Johnson, their All-American, is in the NBA now, didn't have a point. He had 13 points in the last 3 or 4 minutes to will them back to a victory. Part of that's talent, part of that's a little bit of good fortune, and one and dones in the NCAA. The best team doesn't always win, and we want to make the tournament. You make the tournament, you have a chance. So we've been 5 years in a row, and hopefully we can make it 6.
Yeah, it would seem to be that that's the case. Do you feel like maybe this is the group that takes that last step?
Well, our fans have ratcheted up expectations, which from covering sports and from what you do, how that can sometimes affect you in a manner that's not good. We've tried to say embrace expectations. We have a good team, but we still have to grow. We have to get better. We're trying to integrate 3 freshmen, one Malik Pope, who's probably our most highly recruited player ever, coming back from 2 broken legs. He's just starting to get acclimated to play. And we think he's got a great deal of growth and all the other things that we talked about. But I like our team. We are very, very good defensively. We sometimes struggle to score with great regularity, and we're working hard on that. I tell people we're better offensively as a group than we were last year, and now we have to go out and prove it.
Steve Fisher joining us. Steve, you and I have talked in the past, but I really think it bears repeating once again. When you got to San Diego State and they were 4-22, talking about a Final Four would have been absolutely laughable, and now it's realistic. In those early days, the Final Four was not on anybody else's radar. Was it on yours?
When we came to town and recruited, we told our recruits, come and have a little pioneer spirit. Be the first to hang a banner, any kind of banner, in our arena, first in a long, long time. And some people laughed at that, Jim, but we got them to believe. We recruited Randy Holcomb and Chris Walton, Bill Walton's youngest son, and Eric Sanders in our first group. Tony Bland transfers from Syracuse. And all of a sudden, we go from the laughing stock to a pretty good team. And now we know that we have a very good program. And, if you come here, 12,414 are at every game. We are one of the few teams in America that have sold out our building preseason over the last 3 or 4 years. And we like that. Our fans like that. And we're a hot ticket in a pro town. And it's a lot of fun. And we now have ratcheted up. I said to people, why not us? Why not us getting to a Final Four? Why not us winning a national championship? And you got to close your eyes and believe you can do it before you do it.
If you're having fun, your drive is so great, you just signed a 3-year extension, you're obviously not going anywhere. What about your approach? How is it different now? Or is it different now than it was even 10 or 15 years ago?
I think what I've done, Jim, is taken a deep breath and said, we have a great staff. Brian Dutchers, he and I have been together since 1988 with 1 year off. He's the head coach in waiting. We've got Justin Hudson. We've got Mark Fisher, my son. We've got Matt Soria and David Velasquez that have all been here double-digit years. And I think that wins for you, the continuity. But if you watch our practice, I delegate. I let our guys have a lot of responsibility and wiggle room, and I'm back and forth when we have breakdown drills. But I got great trust in our staff, and I think that's helpful in a lot of ways, for me personally, but also for our staff and our players watching our staff. They know that every coach in our program, we don't say he's an assistant coach, they're coaches. We're all coaches that kind of pull together to grow the program. And I think that's what I've done probably more than anything, is given a little more wiggle room to other coaches and responsibility to them.
Steve, what's it like having your son there?
Well, every father with their son or daughter, they want to be with them as much as they can, and usually a job gets in the way of that. Well, we go to work every day together. We've been doing that for 12 or 13 years now at San Diego State. And I love the fact that we talk as coach and coach in the office and dad on the way home. It's a really neat feeling to have, and most parents would kill to get it. I have the privilege to have it.
Having two sons, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think that's great. San Diego State ranked 13th. They are playing host to San Diego on Thursday. Steve Fisher stopping by once again. Steve, I always appreciate the visit, and I always look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. Maybe I can see you next summer in Del Mar when you're there with one of your elite horses.
I would love to do that, Steve. I'll take you up on that, and I would love to have that opportunity. Thanks so much, Steve. Love that idea. Steve Fisher, head basketball coach at San Diego State. It's amazing what he's built there. 16 years in, if you can believe that, and he did inherit a program that was 4-22.